mix with assurance to get him. Interpreters, please take note that the witness must speak in the Mandinka language. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I, EDIRISA NJIE.
EDIRISA NJIE.
EDIRISA NJIE. Do swear that. I'll speak the truth. The whole truth. And nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Good afternoon, Mr. Njie.
Mr. Njie.
Good afternoon.
Welcome to the TRRC.
TRRC.
We wish to thank you for giving your testimony this afternoon.
We
met briefly, and as you know, my name is Sagar. My role here today is simply to guide you through the relevant parts of your testimony. But before we start, I just want to go through some of the rules and regulations that I told you about earlier.
Okay.
Please bear in mind that your primary duty before the Commission is to tell the truth. To allow the commissioners as well as the audience to follow your testimony, please let's avoid overlapping in speeches.
Okay.
So therefore, listen to my questions properly and carefully before you answer. Kindly also take brief statements so that the interpreters who are interpreting into the different local languages are able to follow you.
Okay.
I would also urge you just to keep a very comfortable posture and draw the microphone closer to you.
Okay.
Just treat this as a conversation between us. Your testimony today will just really be about your arrest, your torture at the hands of the NIA. And your subsequent detention at the Mile 2 prisons. We will allow you to guide us through that testimony and tell us exactly what happened.
Okay.
I hope that everything is understood and you're ready to proceed.
Okay.
What are your full names?
My name is EDIRISA NJIE.
And where do you live?
I'm residing in Farafenya currently.
Is that where you're originally from?
Munta iwuluta wala to fanambang.
Hani manguloto.
No, I was not born there.
Where were you born?
Iwuluta mintole.
Muluta Central Badibu sate mi ka fa ker sectaria.
Kir sector in Central Badibu was where I was born.
And how long have you lived in Farafenye?
Ye sanjijel si farafenye bris itata sabatiji.
Farafenye since 1983 mbesiri njele.
I was resident there since 1983. I go and I come.
And when were you born?
Iwuluta sanjumale.
1971 muluta December karoti tanimfula.
12th of December 1971.
What is your occupation?
Ila do ko mu muneti ka balumen na.
Sain tembe moson yalla brika kosolte.
I'm a mason at the time. I also mold blocks.
And are you currently employed?
In temben ebe do ko la le bang.
Am fansun dogo tendron comme ni moson yalti.
Yes, my personal work, like molding blocks.
But you are a mason by profession.
Bitum mason yale no la do ko ti.
Ha.
Yes.
I want to take you back to 2010.
Lafte murundi la katasa no kan ka for me 2010.
Around March.
March karuma fangola.
Do you remember anything that happened around that time?
Fo hakilo su kumuta men keta ila o tembo.
Hakilo samutanole.
Yes, I can recall.
Can you remember the specific date?
Fo hakilo si alumu fango mutanole bang.
March karoti trimu numero la den. Sibiti lungu. Dimasi lungu.
It was on the 27th of March on a Sunday.
Please tell us what happened to you on that day.
Sila afonye mune ketela wolula.
Amma na keba dole breka koso dila nunje farafiji.
One of our seniors gave us work to mold blocks for him in Farafenye.
Breka koso yinga dati sibiti lungu March karoti numero.
We started the brick molding on the 26th.
Ulum follow nga boro tango kosin seta.
The first day, we molded 10 bags and went home.
Asamo on the 27th March, msot follow le futataji.
The next day, which was on the 27th of March, I was the first one to arrive at the workplace.
Sita na brikol kanga mun kosin nungo mkunu. Mbena mwal batuka pure sorna.
I sat on the blocks we molded the day before, and I was waiting for my colleagues to arrive.
Kalan say watola.
Around 8,
Mbesi ngonga mako moi mbalate.
as I was sitting down there, I suddenly heard some noise around me.
Ngam kuwili nga soldaro le nikidol jamaa ibe yambula tema nka moi kafo dasim ahaina.
Suddenly, as I raised up my head, I saw soldiers surrounding me, and they were saying, "That's him, that's him."
Inatan kan wole nyamo.
And that was how they came to me.
Futana mo ye di handcuff bondi yan handcuff.
When they got to where I was, they removed handcuffs and they handcuffed me. I asked them, "What's happening?" And they said, "You will know what's happening. Let's go." That was how I was pushed forward. We went past 3 houses. On the 4th house, they put me inside one of those houses there. There was a line house in that compound. Under the veranda, I found my wife lying down. I found a woman lying on the ground. And there were blood stains on her body. And she was looking weak. And her eyes were closed. And they made me to stand over her at that point. And they said to me, "You are the ones that did this." I said to them, "No, I don't know this woman. I have not done it. I have not gotten even to this place." I came early to report to work, and that was where you found me and brought me here. And they said to me, "Well, you will speak."
So one of them said, "Take him to the complex."
Mr. Njie, before we get to the complex, I just want to ask you a few questions. Who were you working for or with in Farafenye?
The name of the complex kuma, Mr. Njie, even though kola jumale Farafenye,
Bendu ko la num Basiru fankale Madu Sidibe lembula nun do ko la.
I was assigned by Madu Sidibe to do the work.
Bendu ko la Cherna Barila Korda Kenol to no.
We were working inside the land of Chernobare.
To
just an empty plot of land. We wanted to build a house there at that time.
And at that time, you were already living in Farafenye.
And we are in Farafenye sate okunole fokapare.
Yes, at the time I was living in Farafenye.
So you were familiar with your environment.
Amunta kolu melbe dalaje yalo ne membe keri.
Within Farafenye there, yes.
So these soldiers that approached you, how were you able to identify them as soldiers?
In soldier menu nade kama. Yalo nyadil ko soldier lem.
They were dressed.
AK-47.
They were dressed in military uniforms, and they also had AK-47s with them.
Do you know the precise number that approached you?
Yalo ne mojel ngangaro nate kamaje.
Asiata mo tamatile barma konte wato mojel.
It was more than 10 individuals, but I did not count to know the exact number at the time.
Did you recognize any of them?
No, I could not recognize them.
Would you be able to identify them if you saw them again?
No, I would not, because it's been a long time.
And could you tell where they actually came from?
Numme bodlalu karu sojaro je katle draft dolbe staying complex je dolbe barak soto.
I don't know where they came from, because the soldiers, some were staying at the complex there, others were in the barracks.
Which barracks are you referring to?
The barracks Jumalema.
Farafenye main barracks ni bamba tenda silo kan ni be finti kan sa.
Farafenye main barracks by the highway, by Bamba Tenda highway.
And as they approached you, you said they started shouting, "That's him, that's him."
And ikobiri bina futale mayamo bafo kan that's him, that's him. Wala mintiko afele.
Ha. Yes.
Can you tell us how they were behaving? I mean, how did they approach you and how did they treat you once they got to you?
Sai isa fonye ibe maka nyadile alumbiri futate mani fana yemuta ye kenyadile.
Inim borole nata drawing futata do ente bulatema ye hand couple from glotote.
They came running towards me. When they came, they surrounded me and then they handcuffed me, just like this. And so I was pushed forward.
And you asked them why they were arresting you, and they did not give you any reason. Is that
They did not give me any reason. They told me, "You will know."
And when you actually got to a few compounds down the road, can you tell us if you recognize that house? Had you been there before, or the lady that you were shown subsequently? Did you know her?
Yo korda fanolon ani muso ne ko mentara larinje fo mario fanolon ban
No, I don't know.
You also said that the woman's body was covered in blood. Is that correct?
Ya fo ko yelo be muso nyim fanam balo bala fo fanam muto nyalti
yelo no ba balo ba nga yelo ja bulol bala bulu kamol balati yelo ba balo.
Yes, there were blood stains on the hands.
And you were accused of attacking her.
And ya fo ko atelle muso ke onya.
Ha.
Yes.
Can you describe the injuries that she had sustained any further? Do you know what the cause of those injuries were?
Faisa fono le mumbarma fasonu le be muso nyim bala jato bala wala mune yo baramolu ke abala jato bala.
Non to fono la ntoka je wala nyama do wala mun naje foloti.
No, I cannot say. I just saw her in that state, and that was the first time seeing her.
For example, were there wounds, lacerations, or were there bruises?
Aminta la baramolu bala abala jato le be fararing wala musafo abalo dinkira le be busiring abala jato bala.
No barama sifa mol jenti da ngay yelo nyindrone je yelo ba balo balate ni ake nsafo no la.
No, I did not see such injuries. All I saw were blood stains on her body, and I cannot tell what caused the injury.
You also said she was lying down and she had her eyes closed. Do you know if she was actually alive or dead?
Ko ya tara lari ne anyalu be bitin fodu isa fono abe baluri ne ban fo sa foko abe keturu ne wala abe lari ne dron.
No nto fono la fa baluri fa fari nto fono ka mama mbulo la beluri ne te naje lari nte.
I cannot also say whether she was still alive or dead because I did not touch her. All I saw was her lying down.
And after these accusations were made against you, which you denied, did the soldiers do anything to you?
Yes, as we were going, they were pushing me along and they used to hit me, and when I want to fall down, they will hold me. Some of them were even using their gun butts to hit me.
And apart from using their gun butts to hit you, were you hit in any other way?
At that juncture, no.
And where were you hit with those gun butts?
My back.
Did you sustain any injuries as a result at this particular time?
No, it did not injure me there.
Kindly tell us where you were taken to next.
Samba complex. Dr. Cicela Hospital
They took me to the complex by Dr. Cicela's hospital by the side of the road. That is a place where soldiers reside. That was where they took me to.
Was it different from the Farafenye barracks?
No, they are not the same.
Okay. Go on, please.
After they took me there, they told me to kneel down there on the ground and raise up my hands. I did that. One soldier boy came and stood in front of me, and he cocked his weapon and pointed to me and told me that if you don't talk, I am going to kill you. I did not speak because at the point I was terrified. I could not speak. I even chanted my last prayers with the belief that I could be killed at any moment. It was there and then that someone else said to him, "Stop, a vehicle is on its way and we are going to take him along." And then that was when he stopped.
Kneel down for about 10-15 minutes.
And I was there kneeling down for between 10 and 15 minutes. A vehicle arrived from the barracks. They asked me to board. When I got to the vehicle, since my hands were cuffed, I tried, as I laid my hands on the vehicle trying to jump over, they picked me up and just flung me into the vehicle. And then they jumped in onto the vehicle. They ignited the vehicle and we went out. And they took me into the camp.
Mr. Njie, when you were taken to this complex, were you dealing with the same set of soldiers who had arrested you initially, or were these a different set of soldiers?
Sai Mr. Njie, bri samba complex to. O soldier ul meni muta ate mo kilingul le tarta je baya indi tarta wolle bulu fo soldier dol le molti.
Soldier kilingul lo
with the same set of soldiers.
Isiata le dol tuta suo kono je ntenga yemuta dame dol tuta jele nin dol le nata nyola complex.
Where I was picked up from, some were left there. I came with others to the complex. And those were the ones that took me away eventually.
Did anyone appear to be in charge of this particular group?
For most of the crossroad, me alonko atele mo ka fo nyato nkoti.
Mobiji kaito babulu.
Yes, there was someone who had a paper, and whatever he said was what they did.
And can you describe this particular person?
So Mari kaito be member wisa phone nya Mari kala mo be nyaadi le.
Mari bon keolon tem soldier fano bala but ma long exactly that.
He was dressed in uniform, but I do not know his name.
And at the time at Farafenye barracks, do you know who was the commander?
And when we have done the Farafenye barracks,
No, I don't know who the commander was.
Do you know whether these soldiers were under the command of the commander at the Farafenni barracks?
Yes, they were all under the same commander.
At any point were you taken to a police station?
Police station.
No, I was not taken to a police station.
Were you told if you had committed any particular offense?
No, they did not tell me anything at the spot.
And you said that they dumped you at the back of a pickup truck. Can you describe this truck?
Soldier motor 4-wheel drive come fantasy nyato mo then driver
is the military pickups which you have the back which is usually empty, and then there's a middle place where people used to sit, which is different from where the driver used to sit.
And were you told where you were being taken to?
Campo to barracks.
Yes, at the barracks.
Okay, please proceed and tell us what happened.
When we got to the barracks, they took me inside one particular big building, and they gave me somewhere to sit down. And they all surrounded me and they put me in the middle.
Coming for
and the individual I said had the paper in his hand came again and asked me, what is your name? What kind of work were you doing there? I gave him everything, told him exactly what it was. At that juncture, the one that the missioner who gave us the work, my brothers and my colleagues, they all came. Even the people who saw them taking me along, all of them came and found me there at the barracks. It was there and then that the missioner said to them, I am the one who gave work to this man at that place. But the accusation that you have levied against him, that is not something that anyone can associate with his character. He only came here to work. My brothers also came, but one of my brothers was also detained there once they realized that he was in fact my brother. The one that I said had the paper left me there with the soldiers, and I was seated there. And he went out with the missioner who gave me the work, and they boarded the vehicle and went to town. They were there for a long time. And then they returned. They took me out of that room and took me to another. In that room, there were computers. There too, they asked me, where did you have your schooling? What work do you do? I told them everything exactly as it is.
Mr. Njie, sorry for interrupting you, did they actually take a statement from you? Did they write anything down and ask you to sign it?
Except these questions they asked me there.
And before you were brought into this particular room, which had the computers in it, what room were you actually detained in?
Whole ballon thing.
It's a big hall and it was full of soldiers.
It wasn't a detention cell or anything like that?
No. It wasn't a cell.
And when you actually went to Farafenni barracks, did you recognize any of the soldiers there?
I did not recognize them.
So these soldiers were actually investigating a crime which they believed had been committed.
amunta ni sojaro ibe kule kisi kame alon ko aketa kukuru keri muleti bole nokan.
Yes.
As far as you know, do soldiers normally investigate crimes in society?
Itela londoto fodum sojaro leka kukuru lu kisi jama mulu kono bang.
Honey?
No.
What institution do you know that actually does that work?
Itela londoto jumanyo leka ku fasolu no masata.
Police long CID and
It's the police, CID, and others.
So as far as you are concerned, did they have any lawful authority to interrogate you, arrest you?
And what itela londoto will do yasembo soto le pour kete muta wala kana fo kete nyininka.
Honey?
No.
Please proceed and tell us what happened after at the Farafenye barracks.
Bitun tente ya fenye wokola munu nata ke Farafenye barracks toje.
Bring some office to nyininka all bega for pareta.
When they took me to this office and they asked me all those questions, and after that, this man told me, Idrisa, well, we heard what you have said. But for us, our statement has already preceded us. Because we already announced in Banjul that we have captured the rebels already. So the NIS said that at all cost we must take you there. He said to me, but since you said you have not done it, just go there and answer to them. And it is possible that you may be released. I said, I have no choice. They put me onto the vehicle and then they asked me if I had an ID card and I said yes, and they took me to my house so that I could pick it up. I went there with 3 individuals inside the pickup. When we got to the compound gate, the vehicle stopped, we alighted and entered into the compound. My hands were still handcuffed. Well, my people, once they saw me in that state, in the handcuffs, going with soldiers, they all started to cry. I went with the soldiers into my room and I got my ID card and I came out with them. I said to my people, just take heart, I have done nothing wrong. These people are taking me, but I believe that I will return soon. So that was how they brought me out and put me into the vehicle. And they drove me to Banjul.
Mr. Njie, you had already told us that when some of your family members visited you at the military camp, they detained one of your brothers.
Yes.
Can you tell us if you know why they did such a thing?
No, I don't know.
And do you know how long he was detained for?
No, amanke mutokono. I tell him full of sabanyon cable.
We spent between 2 and 3 hours with them.
And he was eventually released.
Eventually they released him.
Do you know if anything happened to him?
No, nothing happened to him there.
You were also told that the soldiers had communicated to the NIA that they had arrested the rebel.
Yes, that was what he told me.
Do you know who they were referring to as a rebel?
At that place, I was the one being referred to as the rebel.
And can you tell us why they were referring to you as a rebel? Because as far as we are concerned, you've told us your profession and you did not tell us you were a rebel.
isa nyimiro no munan na itul bafuleta ko ite mu rebelol ti katu itela duko yo fontol yen fase ne ata bar munan itul kana fete ko ite mu rebelol ti
alo ko mu keta malo fo rebelol aga fo mu ake itul bole nyininga so itul le ko ntamu rebelol ti fante mangi rebel.
Well, I don't know. Perhaps what happened was caused by rebels, and it was that rebel that, or those rebels that they were looking for. But I know that I am not a rebel.
What do you mean by what happened? Your accusation of being a rebel, did it have anything to do with this woman who you were shown and accused of attacking?
So for me, it yalo na bamune ketakatu tumi rebel yala andu ni muso men ataitan dila for men ketawola wobo inkandiro for wodalilo le yasa rebel le okay ola bam for mune
kapu muso ni
because the woman they said that she was cooking inside the barracks there. That there were some people who used to call her before on telephone telling her that they are rebels. And that they wanted her to disclose some information to them about the barracks, and that if she did not do that, they were going to attack her. So they said that was the reason why that woman was attacked. That was what they told us at that place.
Who told you this?
The man who was investigating the whole issue, the man that had a paper in his hand.
So tell us what happened after when they told you you would be taken to the NIA. Did you subsequently get there?
Say ngafonye munekera wairi teleko enkombe sambala NIA fudu ina te sambala NIA lebang
nata samana NIA brim flota banyu flota around 7 o'clock water to fitrima fountain.
Yes, I was eventually taken to the NIA. When we arrived here, it was around 7. It was almost getting dark. They took me into one of the cells there and they locked it up.
How do you know you were taken to the NIA premises?
They told me that was the NIA place.
Can you describe the location, if you can remember?
Banjul, Atlantic Hotel Komaji, High Court Komaji, Komasilom.
It's in Banjul, around behind the Atlantic Hotel and behind the High Court, the back way.
And when you got there, were you registered?
Biri futandije, sai la kul safele keto safe.
Hani wood lato de massive, fitro longatre mamotreje dana gante futata dong yen samo lato yen soronji.
No, we did not even find anyone there. It was around 7 p.m. We just got there and they took me inside and they locked me up. They told me to wait until tomorrow. People will come early for work.
So it was the soldiers who had brought you from Farafenni who handed you over to the NIA officers.
Amunda was soldier le meni muta Farafenni, was soldier killing le na tifo banjulu ye chika yedum NIA lubulu.
Yes.
Okay, please proceed.
Sa intente.
I was in that room sitting down until after 12. Three people came, they opened the door to the cell and they called out my name, EDIRISA NJIE, and I answered and they told me, come and answer. I followed. They took me into one other room, a very big one. There is no light bulb in that room. It's very dark. It's the reflection from the bulbs that were outside that usually will filter through. When I got into the room, I could see the figure of someone sitting behind the table. When I got into the room, they told me to stand. When I stood, they told me to undress. I removed my shirt. I thought it was only that, but then they asked me to remove my trousers as well. I also removed my trousers. The one standing close to me kicked me with his military boots. And when I fell at the spot, he stood on me with those boots on. One other held both of my hands. The third one had wires ruled around his hand. He stood and he hit me. They beat me there, they beat me there. They beat me there, I screamed, they beat me. And then he gave orders for the beating to stop. They brought me in front of him where he was seated at the table. And then he too questioned me. Where are you from? Where did you do your schooling? You are the ones that attacked this woman like this? I said to him, well, just as I told you, I am a missioner. I just went there to do my work. And this woman, I do not know her.
Get him.
And then he said to them, get him. They came and held me again. They beat me. They beat me. At that time, there was one of them who was smoking cigarette, and he put off his cigarette butt on my body. I screamed until my voice died out. They beat me until at a point my body was numb to pain.
So I could stop.
And then he said to them, stop. And then they brought me to him again. And he said to me, Idrissa, speak the truth. At that time, I was so I had reached my last limit, and I also responded to him by saying, if you want to kill me, go ahead and do it. Something that I do not know, I cannot accept it. Then he said to them, return him back to where you took him from. And then I was returned back to the same cell.
Mr. Njie, sorry, I'm trying to get your attention. Can you tell us how long the beating session or sessions took? Because you told us about 2 beating sessions. How long did the first one take, and how long did the second one take?
Yeah, for young, ila liparu akatasinya fulale. Lipar following I wicheu menta and lipar flanjang ila jam for wicheu ning. First your phone nyeba.
That time no like exactly, but community do for military tanyo yoke liparu.
I couldn't time it, but I can say it would be between 5 and 10 minutes.
And you said there were 3 people in the room, is that correct?
And we foko mosa bale bunyi kono.
Monani mosa bo nyine be milipaka mbe wala bulu kilo le be sirin tabulo ko wala mu ila nyaton ko tinabili.
There were 4 individuals. There were 3 who came with me, and they were the ones that were doing the beating. There was a 4th one who was seated behind the table, and I suppose he was their leader.
Very well. And can you describe the one who was sitting behind the table as well as the 3 who were beating you?
Immo foisi ikalamu fono nyele membe sirin tabulo koma ani mosabo membe lipaka mfoye jisute le jibele ye kalamu lo neba
mosabo yi me te sute no comme be dibo ko no ngafo nyami ye sumbu ya nafo le duntai
The 3 individuals, as I told you, it was dark, I could not recognize them. And also, because they had these balaclavas, which they had on, so I could not recognize them. Their leader, who was seated behind the table, he had a bottle which he was drinking constantly and placing on the table. But I could not recognize them.
And this bottle he had that he was drinking from, do you know what was what it was?
Kabo membabulu aba minkang fo ya afamule mu be kabo nyinko
kabo nya ka dorole minnu.
He was drinking alcohol.
And can you tell us how you came to that conclusion?
Munanga iko dolole mi yo faham nya dile
no dololo ne abu kankaring aba minkang na lone I sera na nabi diamula.
I know alcohol. It was frothy. I could smell it.
And you also described that one of the people who were beating you had military boots on.
Yes.
And he used these boots to actually step on you. Can you tell us where he stepped on you, on what part of your body?
And the Afoko Samata Tiwo, Sojar Samata Tiwo, Wole Lote Simulukanga Lote, Abole Lote Baloka Lote Balo into Mafaneka.
Simu da patrol do mate, Simu Jandro.
My souls. He stood on them, stepped on them.
Do you know if he was a soldier or was he an NIA officer, as far as you could tell?
No, ati ama uniform dunta fo la soldier long. Bandu soldier samato comme ni boot, il a ni boot samato le basi moto.
He was not dressed in uniforms, so I cannot say certainly that he was a soldier, but for sure he was wearing military boots.
So they were all dressed in civilian clothes, is that correct?
And the civilian photo le dum not economy uniform dum for abe nyaleba.
Yes.
What about their physical appearance? Could you tell whether they were tall or short or fair-skinned or dark? I know you said it was dark, but whatever you can remember so that we could identify them, that would be helpful.
Sai membe mako ila wole ni kalamu fono nye ngalon ko je dibobe dundi no tumo bari fomo jamfa mo jangol muiti mo sutumul mo balabalem ite simuno fono manakibo to kalamu to
bo jangol ko mimbe lipa kangol bele jamfatam fawti watanti.
They were tall individuals because those that were beating me were taller than me.
But the
other guy was sitting down, so I just saw him like that.
What about the sound of their voice, for example? And what language did they speak in?
Ila kumakamo ila dia munya voice from la aning ibe kanjuma nyol fokan.
Anyway, nteka moika English la foje.
Anyway, all I heard
them get him
was speaking English. As when he said to them, get him.
You said they also interrogated you about the woman that was attacked in Farafenye.
Yes.
Was it the man behind the desk who appeared to be their leader who was the one interrogating you?
Yes, he was the one asking me all of those questions.
And after the torture session, did you sustain any injuries?
Yes, on my back there were serious lacerations. I still bore those marks on my body. Up to this date, the marks are still on my body.
And what were they using to inflict those injuries on you?
They
used electric wires to beat me up with.
Did all of them beat you at the same time, or were they taking turns to beat you?
The person who was doing the beating was just himself alone. In fact, there was one who put off his cigarette butt on my body.
And one was holding my hands.
In which part of your body was the cigarette butt put?
On my shoulder.
Can you tell us how you felt, Mr. Njai, when all of this was going on? You had initially been tortured by the soldiers in Farafenye, and then you came to the NIA. You were being accused of something you claim you never did. Tell us how you actually felt.
Sai iyo jenya dile kato ye mito tuwe mfarafenye ya wati sutontaje ya foko ye tajire ye tilimbali aje ye nati fanang NIA inata nyin tilimbali alu fanang kelaje sai Yo beta nyadile, yaje nyadile.
Ntele fudi mwone, okay, nkamfata le bembe mune nola, mte fen nola je. It
was extreme pain. But what could I do? In fact, that night I had to cry for the whole night because of the pain and the anger.
Were you actually bleeding?
A lot of it. The whole of my back was with blood.
And after these 2 torture sessions, you were taken back to your cell, is that correct?
Yes. I was returned back to the cell.
Can you describe the cell you were put in?
Flat ground non tendron, femantreji, ba ne fenko bundato
It was a flat cell, empty, nothing there. On the door you had iron bars.
Not even a curtain was on the floor.
So you had to lay down on the bare floor.
Yes, I just sat down and I leaned back and I cried the whole night.
Were you provided with any toilet facilities?
No, I had nothing with me there.
Were you given any medical attention?
There and then, nothing.
What about food or drink?
They gave me no food, no water.
And apart from your torturers, did anyone else communicate with you and tell you anything about why you were there and your legal rights as a detainee?
No moment
such an individual was not there. No one spoke to me on that.
You were not able to communicate with your family either?
Since I left that day I was arrested, that was the last time they knew about my affair until I was released.
So what else happened during the course of that night?
That night, nothing else happened. They left me alone, and I stayed like that inside that cell until daybreak. When they broke in the morning, they came and picked me up and took me to another office. There also, I found another big man seated by a table. He too began to question me.
What do you mean by big man?
They were leaders sitting behind, he was sitting behind a table. And he was the one passing instructions to these other individuals, and whatever he told them, that was what they did.
Do you remember what this man looked like?
He's a bulky guy. What?
Was he fair or dark in complexion?
I cannot describe him as being dark in complexion. I would say he's somewhat fair in complexion.
Please carry on.
He too asked me the same question. Where did you go to school? What work do you do? What do you know about this case of this woman? And I told him I know nothing about it. I said to him, I'm a missioner and that's my job. If you go to Farafenye and inquire from anybody, they'll all tell you that that is the work I do. And I said, okay, I have heard you.
Take him.
That was when he said to those that brought me out of the cell to take me. They came and told me, get up, let's go. And I got up. They put me into a vehicle. They took me, but I did not know where I was being taken to.
Branch after mile 2.
We took the Banjul Highway headed towards Serekunda, but when we got to the mile 2, they took a turn to mile 2.
Can we just stop there for a while, Mr. Njai, whilst we just go back to what happened at NIA?
Okay.
So you had only spent one night at the NIA?
Yes, that was the only one night I spent there.
During your interrogations, do you know if any statement was taken from you?
Statement.
At that point, I do not know if they had taken any statement.
Did you sign any document?
No.
Did they tell you that they had charged you with any offense?
No.
Were you taken to court?
No.
Were you shown any order that said you should be detained?
They did not tell me anything. All he did was to tell these people to take him. In fact, I did not even know where they were taking me to.
But you found yourself at mile 2 eventually?
Yes.
And you going to mile 2 was simply hinged on the decision that someone in authority at the NIA had made?
Yes.
So you were taken to mile 2. What happened when you got there?
Yes, I'm mile 2.
When we got to mile 2 at the gate, we alighted. They took me to the reception. They told them, we brought you someone for you to keep for us. And then they wrote down my name and took down everything that I had in my possession. That time I had my wallet with me as well as my mobile phone. And the belt that I had was also taken away. And they register all those possessions into their register. And then I was handed over to those people, and then they took me inside.
Was there any money in your wallet? Or any valuables?
Fodu ila kalipo yinkono fembijele kodo bang wala fo fensi bala mensike fenti me yalon ko fen kum malon
There was a little bit of money, but I don't remember exactly how much it was. It was just some change.
Please proceed.
And then?
After they jotted down all my possessions and handed me over to these guys to take me inside, I was taken up. I think that's the place they call remand.
Can you describe the place? What is the location within mile 2 so that we can know whether it's the remand wing or not?
Mesije kalang phone nyene abe mile 2 damen phone sa fam phone remand lombang fo kasola mintono njeti.
Mile 2 bunda ni duntatu. When you get through the gate, mile 2, bumba follow umbe imara karolate. The first space you have on your left-hand side.
A big hole, one-man cell level.
It's a big hole containing one-man cells. They took me to the very corner. There was one small room there. That was where they put me.
2 2 meter 52 meters square.
The length and breadth cannot be more than 2 meter 50 or 2 and 2 meters.
Tep-tepo beje cement laramate ole beje tep-tepo ya daraje wolo balate.
There was a concrete slab by the wall which was serving as a bed.
A sponge killing dena ani mosquito fanko nyinte.
There was a little mattress, small mattress they gave me, and also mosquito repellent. That was where I laid down. They also gave me a small bucket. They said if I wanted to ease myself, I could make use of it.
Can you clarify, Mr. Njie, can you clarify whether you were taken to the remand wing or you were taken to the security wing?
Alaftada men sanyanda walem ye somebody remand le for ye somebody dinkral to cover security wing.
Well, you know, I am not very conversant with the names of the place.
It was just according to your description. Normally, the remand wing would be on your right-hand side of mile 2, straight down the road. The security wing is on your left.
Ya fanya min buluba karo lem remind ko silo men dunda kono to kata kono to amunta security wing wala be mara karola.
Well, I was taken to the ones on the left-hand side.
Yeah, and the security wing also is characterized by the individual cells, the one-man cell, which you call it.
And the security wing karola ni mokili selo leboto ko ila foro ya itandi nyami.
Okay.
If you were at the remand, you would be sharing cells with a lot of people.
Ni benu remind ibe ni mur jama dolle dundi la bunkono kili unkono.
This was actually where the one-man cell is.
So tell us how you were detained and, for how long you were detained there.
Sa nga fonye ye sindi je nyaadi le ani ye wati jelle ke muto kono je.
Je biyon ndo bunkono je famoto ya non je go farafenyen kol ya fo farafenyen ko farafenyen ka dole nata de ya fo prisoner ya farafenyen ka dole nata.
When I was taken to one of those cells, they even made an announcement there, a public announcement to the prisoners that one individual from Farafenye has come.
To ball nata kanjibe mobe kono aliuba.
So the boys came, they came to look at me, and there was one amongst them called Aliuba.
Babu Janha wol.
People like Babu Janha.
Aliuba te found baramoni njambalo bala kumbatunga ta la medics ninkuman. Ate found le bota ta the medics ninkuman.
When Aliuba saw the wound that I was having, he said that he was going to call the medic to come and attend to me.
Atata ukumandi na ona ata ena baramol jibe.
He went and called the medic. The medic came and inspected my injuries.
And
put some inks on my injuries. And gave me some tablets. I'm not sure if they were paracetamol or not. And told me to drink them.
So this was the first medical attention you got for your injuries?
Yes.
And who was Aliuba? Can you describe him more for us?
Jumalo ming Aliuba ala kumo fenye ndomandimba.
Aliuba sojaro long grab farafenye watu na nyolon ka ni football be keri ataka te diamula ka be comment ka be filo murumurun ka. Aliuba kono je mo jamale alon farafenye.
Aliuba was a soldier. While he was in Farafenye, we got acquainted. In fact, if there were football matches, he used to do commentating, and he would go around the football pitch commentating. In fact, many people in the community knew him.
Do you know why he was in mile 2?
Well, he was accused of taking part in a coup attempt.
Do you know which particular coup he was accused of taking part in?
Ma
ni hakilo bara jamma fon tadra ba hakilo botala le dal but gunjur janama fon boda buje ma fon londa.
I can't recall exactly, but it was around Gunjur and the border areas.
That's what he was accused of.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
Well, that's what he was accused of, being a member of a failed coup plot.
Carton.
Which were the guys arrested around Carton.
Do you know which year they were arrested?
No.
And where is Aliuba now, as far as you know?
Itila londo Aliuba le sai.
Aliuba binte fundita nata moiko ya fale at blata umol kono ya munfaji.
When I was released, I got to hear that he was among the people that were executed.
When were they executed?
Yolu fa wati jumale.
Exactly.
It's not long, but I don't recall the date exactly.
But you recall that they claimed he was executed.
Yes.
So tell us about the general conditions of detention briefly at Mile 2. What did you experience?
Sai mutokono jebenu nyari le Mile 2 ila jero to anite fawdunta menkono. Mile 2 kasokono je obenu nyadi le utumo.
Mile 2 kasokono wazo fu batamu mbeje domoro nintamo domoro ni mambetea.
It was a lot of hardship. The food condition was not good. Our place of sleep also was not comfortable. I was there. In fact, there was a day I experienced diarrhea.
Then in Nathan Samba la Meri the other part for the sentence will cut down.
They took me to the other side where the people who usually are sentenced, where they are kept. That is where the medic is.
When I was taken to that place, that was the last day I ate couscous there, because when the couscous was brought in front of me, a lot of flies were flying over this food.
So Jeto futo tabelungu na nini pato nteka mburo le nini nkanyi minus sport kensa wole dada nkambuso dada balanke design nke wafi ningol kodu ningol soto ngol mabu nkamburu kunto samala wati ni wati.
So at that time when they cooked this couscous and porridge, rice porridge, that's the type of food we were served. Then we used to take these small tins of mayonnaise, make it and try to sell them to people. If I get any money from that, that's what I used to buy bread to eat instead of the food they provide us in the prison there.
Farafenyen kol mun fana be yani mo betol mun be kan so nguro la tambu tol ka visit soto mol kana do mortol dila. The
people from Farafenye, as well as some good people inside the prisons, when they have visitors and they bring bread for them, when they eat and they have remnants, they also serve us those. I was in that situation and I was taking it easy. Sometimes the senior prison guards used to come around there. When they come on those visits, sometimes it's when they are preparing to take people to court. And I used to go to them and complain to them that I have been here, nobody has said anything about me. I also want to have my day in court. I spent about 5 months in that state, just sitting and waiting. One day, one particular woman came there. It's a neighbor in Farafenye.
Bori, security officer Dole.
Bori, and she was married to one of the security officers here in Combo. She came to the prisons to visit me. I was very happy that day. I said to myself, now my people will know my whereabouts. Because since I was arrested, they did not know where I was. I did not also know their conditions. They did not know whether I am alive or even dead. She came and asked me how I was faring so far there, and I told her, after which she left. One day, as I was sitting down during the month of Ramadan, they came and they called out my name, EDIRISA NJIE, and I answered, and they told me to come and answer. That was the day that they put me into a vehicle again and took me into Banjul. When we arrived, where I was taken out of first when I got into the NIA.
Mr. Njai, so that was after 5 months of detention, is that correct?
Yes.
And during that time, you never appeared before a court?
They took me, they didn't take me to court, they did not ask me, and I did not speak to anybody.
So where were you being taken to this time?
They took me to the NIA, and when we got there, they took me into another big room. One was seated by the computer board. One other woman was seated. There were other men sitting on chairs also. They asked me, Mr. Njai, do you recognize this woman? I said to them, no, I don't recognize her. I do not know her. And then they also asked the woman, they said to her, well, this is the man that we arrested as part of the people who attacked you. Do you recognize him? She said to them, no, the people that attacked me and this man are not the same. One of them can even carry this man on his back and move it into anywhere. The other one is fair in complexion and is a hefty man. So. And that all of them were dressed in black and they had black balaclavas over their faces. She said to them, and all of them wore military boots also. She said to them, their physique and this man is totally different. I have never seen this man. I have never known this man. All of us were seated. And then they said to me, Njai, have you heard that statement? I said, yes, I heard her. Then they said, well, now we are going to return you back to Mile 2. We are going to release you, but before that, we must have instructions from our leader.
Mr. Njai?
Mr. Njai?
Yes.
So the NIA asked you these questions, or asked this lady the question about whether or not you were the one who attacked her after they had arrested you, detained you, tortured you, and you had spent 5 months at Mile 2.
Sai ina eule nyinyin ka roke itela anin nyimuso fananata diamu biri ye muta ye tajreya ye samba Mile 2 kasola ya karilulu kije wokola lo nyin diamu natake.
Yes, all of this interaction happened after.
So you had been punished literally for something that you never did.
Amunta yete tilimbalia kula ete fawmambara menna.
Yes.
And they hadn't even bothered to investigate at that stage.
Andu imahani na muta kusobe tipuruka ko kisi tonya watembo.
No.
So the woman was then able to identify you and say you were not the one who attacked her.
Andu musonyi nata kumoseni ko ite mantara ite manke moti meni yate boyinkan.
Yes.
Were you able to tell if she was the same woman that was lying on the floor injured?
Ila cross road fo atewo musu kilingulong wala be lari num duma ilu yelondi men kuntunung han fo ko yelo babala.
Yalo muso nyi mtamalong.
You know, I don't know the woman. And by the time I was seeing her, she was lying down. And now I have found her seated.
I never knew
him at all.
Definitely
I do not know whether it's the same woman or not. I definitely don't know her.
How did the woman react to you having been arrested and detained because of her?
musonyim fo fanan anata jenyadi le ga ayata nyadi le pour yete muta yete soron atela ko kamma
musonya balafa sudonye kado blato fo balafa sudonye la diamunya itandi ko balafa sudonye le.
She was sorry for me. In fact, the manner of speech can tell you that she was very, very sorry for me.
So despite the fact that you had been proven to be innocent of these crimes, another order was made by the NIA for you to go back to Mile 2.
Ni muso la nyindiamo ay koita ndi nyami koita mantara mulu kono men ya boyin kan ala balafa fana itando be kola nyimolu nata fo koteke yete murundi Mile 2 kasola.
Nata murundi Mile 2 kasola.
Yes, and they returned me back to the Mile 2 precinct.
Did they provide any reason why you should go back?
Fodo ye dalila fole munan na ite nyanda tala Mile 2 kasola.
No, akonye mbe bulalale ako bari fonga ya maro soto na keba maya.
He said, we will release you, but before that, we must have instructions from our leader. That was what he told me there.
Did he explain who that leader was?
No, he did not tell me.
And on this occasion, were you able to recognize any of the people who were sitting with this woman whilst you were being interrogated?
No, I could not recognize them.
Do you know if they were NIA officers?
NIA
doku because ila dulalo akete ila dulalo itole mutanu yenati nunjele udula kilongolo ila dulalo.
Yes, because it's their place. When they arrested me, that was where they brought me, and it's the place of the NIA.
Very well, so you were ordered to go back to Mile 2.
Nata murni sunkaro lo hata besundi brin sunkaro botalen selta Mile 2 jele ukaro.
Yes, it was during the month of Ramadan. In fact, I was fasting. In fact, we were there until we prayed the fasting, the prayers, end of Ramadan in prison.
Brin salo tamita.
After the prayers,
they came to
pick me there. I was there sitting one day. They came and called out my name, EDIRISA NJIE. The one that came, they call him Jiso. He came and called me.
And who was he, Jiso?
Prison guard.
He was a prison guard. I used to see him there frequently during those times. He was the one who was usually escorted people when they were going to court or even going to the hospital. He was the intermediary. He came to me and said, pack all of your belongings, you are going home. I was very happy and also saddened at the same time. At that time, I had one book with me. I went and picked it up. Then they took me to Banjul.
Can you tell us why you were sad?
Balafani ni mon min dalita prison je be condition mun kono je sa intervina sela ngol tuje odla balafa bage.
The sadness was a result of the fact that I was there with people whom I have gotten acquainted to all this while. Now that I was going home, I was thinking about them and the condition that they will have to endure in my absence. That was what saddened me a lot.
Then
they took me to Banjul. When I got to Banjul, they took me to an office. I found one big man also sitting on a chair. He said his name was Mr. Gomez. Then he wrote down a Gamcel number which he handed to me. He said to me, Njai, well, now we are releasing you. I appeal to you to forgive us because the reason for your arrest, we have found out that you have not done it. We are appealing to you when you return, when you go, please don't narrate to people the condition of the prison.
I $100 bonde adina.
He took out $100 and gave to me and said to me, use this as your fare money. You wrote this number down and gave me the paper and told me that if you should experience any hardship at all, call me.
Mr. Jai, can you just write the number down? The usher will provide a piece of paper so you can just write it down for us. For our investigation.
Mr. Jai, number, ilafta yewale safe iye, kaito bala, member kaito natile, wala kakuonu tamandi jangu.
Please don't say it on the microphone. He'll just write it down.
Kana for microphone today. Atabe number yin safe lale, katu be sura la number lale wairi kiskisuru mfo eke.
Okay.
So you said Mr. Gomez was a big man, meaning that he was a person in authority at the NIA.
Because Mr. Gomez mu big man already, wala minti mume yalonko, kanti wale muati NIA la bundala utumu.
Yes.
Can you describe him to us?
Amari kala mfanya bang.
Balati olonte.
He's a hefty man.
Manke ke jambati.
Not very tall.
Kanyang malente.
Sizable, just like that. And his eyes are a little bit bulgy.
His what, sorry?
His eyes.
His eyes are
big.
Big, yes, sort of, yes.
I have never seen bulky eyes. All right. What about, was he fair-skinned or dark?
No, balajata koole mfumu fulem.
Manke fi matide,
It's not dark.
Did you happen to remember or know his first name at all?
We hakilo sibula atola lebang ato follow wairi men akontongo yole fo.
Ato nyima ato nyilom, but Mr. Gomez nindalu wevena mind.
I don't know his name, but the Gomez is in my mind.
What was the sound of his voice?
Akango wala nabe diamula akango mosafa akango be nyadile.
He had a heavy tone.
And how did you know he was Mr. Gomez? Did he tell you?
Yalo nyadile ko Mr. Gomez lo nyinta afango ya feba.
Afango ya fanyi number sefa to bala adina.
He told me he himself. He wrote his name. I gave me the number with his name against it. He told me, now whether that is the truth or not, something else. Yeah.
And do you know why he was telling you not to reveal what had happened at the NIA, to reveal the truth? Why did he ask you to keep it hidden?
Mwana ila mira roto. Ay nyimfo ko men keta je isiake kuloti pro ekana kumo sata banta.
I don't know the reason for him telling me that.
Do you know whether they wanted the public to know what happened to you?
Fodun asikanyinti ila miroto imman lafile jamaa mulu yalo menketetela.
Ay man lafi welong wala tne konkana fo.
Yes, they don't want the public to know what has happened. That was why they told me not to narrate it to anyone.
And what did you do? Did you do what they had instructed you to do?
Sa yemuneke itelieme mfonya yole keba mfodu ina tala nyadile.
They bring fundita tata man femfo about man femfo.
When I was released and I went out, I never said anything.
No mol ni kakacha nkajimbe nunjami nje nkafole nka foene de no mol ga no conditional be na foene anna freno ni nimbe kachala nkafoene je be nyadile.
Well, but for my people and my friends, when we are chatting, I usually told them exactly the conditions that I saw there.
Some of
them even suggested to me that I should take them to court. But my father told me, leave them alone, because if you should follow these people, nothing will come out of it. And the only thing you may likely get from them would be another set of complications. Since you are well, nothing happened to you, you are not dead, thank God and just continue on with your work. And that was how I forgot them.
And why do you think your father advised you to leave sleeping dogs to lie?
Arowato ni ko be nyimbula nyimola kul benuma kul nkamoy kul katanyami.
At that time,
if you
wanted to go after these people, we all knew what was happening in the country, especially if you are not someone that is very powerful. You couldn't pay a lawyer and all of that, so you were just going to waste your time eventually.
So you felt that you were being taken advantage of because you were a man of little means?
Amunta yenye mutako amunta ye sembole tamandi kanron katu ita mumole timeya lonko ima sembo soto aferetela.
That was it.
And the NIA were just too powerful for you.
And the NIA ulu sembo warteti wotumo.
That is it.
Can you tell us what impact this whole experience has had on you?
Saying isa fo nini ni membe ketela ten ay mune sababu itema ikunoma.
Be an innocent man accused of something that you did not do, punished, detained, tortured.
Item mole teme ya lonko ibe senayari bari na te muta ye samba ye isindidula killing amanna dan wala ye soron andu be kono ye tajire ya ye tilimbalia ye kolu kela bari bitu hanimbi anata lawunya.
And to top it all off, you were not even able to complain this to anyone. You couldn't tell him anyone. You just had to keep quiet.
Andu obe kola inata akedeuti fo ila foro to ko ya fo itero ni badi me bari obe kola ya akedeuti yede akwokan.
Ala seji nteka sawote na nablo le nyama don sawote na.
I had no choice, so I just left things the way they are.
Adimu waratale.
The pain was too much.
And how did you manage with that pain? I mean, how did that impact your day-to-day life?
Say ikalanta nyadile iniwo dimimo ila lulundi mbaluo kono ya kulu samba nyadile.
Ba domon kando.
Taking it easy.
Ba domon kando.
Taking it easy.
Did you feel that justice was done to you?
For any mutako ye tilimole sambete kambang
yen tilimbaleyale okay tilintoto ye tilimbaleyale wala sambankanji.
There was no justice. What happened to me was injustice.
In terms of your health, can you tell us how you're feeling now? Did it have any adverse effects on your well-being?
Saying ila jata kende ala karola fosilang akunyin kukela le meya lonko asike jata kende nasoti wala asike kuti meya lonko ila taranya jato ila kende afai kunasi ndijele.
Man kuran soto je mu ala ban fenkara magol mun bambara jangol kola mkoto janje dimo do man din karti je watni wati je fon be lemberlen do man.
No, I don't have any. I did not pick any disease from there, except my back, where I suffered some injuries. Once in a while, I experience some pains there, but that's just about it.
And thank you very much, Mr. Njai, for telling us your story about just an innocent man being victimized by the NIA, who acted in complete impunity. Thank you very much.
Inimbara baka Mr. Njai, ita mumuleti meya lonko aman kuke musanu lemiti bari na temuta itajiri ya bakela bitun bata yole kanwonya bari hanimbi inimbara isonta inata yela kumusata konso nyati lula mbeja ila wokan.
Baraka.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. I hand over the witness to you.
Thank you, Counsel, and thank you, Mr. Njai, for coming to testify before the TRRC.
Chairman Council Numbara, but I tell Mr. Njai Fana Numbara, Puru Isonta, Kana Sedearo, La Commission Yatilula.
I'm sorry that you had to endure so much at the hands of the NIA.
Say Haketu, ye Tajirea Baleje, Yabatabata ki NIA Ulubulu.
Apparently for no reason.
And Wamanaka Dalila Wodalila Kanti.
Commissioners, if you have any questions to ask Mr. Njai, please indicate. If not, Mr. Njai, if you have any concluding remarks to make, please proceed to do so now.
Sayang wari Commissioner Lumo soto membe nyini kala Mr. Njai. Ifanang ila kumuweba kumfala kumakangulu menula. Iwela fila memfula Gambian kuni sayang. Ifanang sitende ila kumakangulu sindi moluma.
Antepo mumfola.
What I want to say
prisonal
is not going to be long. What I want to say is that the prisoners, the government has to look into their affairs and also have some sympathy for them. Because some people are incarcerated for crimes that they have not committed. Some are also there who do not have the means to secure the services of a lawyer. And also the prisoners, they are citizens of this country and they are human beings. The prison, the people that are there, are people who have regretted their actions. Some people are there, they have committed heinous crimes, and they know that they committed those crimes. But after all of that, they have come to a point of regret about what has happened. There are good people there. Gambians are there. It's human beings who are there. They should assist them so that they are able to get good food. And teach them skills, for instance, carpentry and other handiworks. If you incarcerate someone for 10 years and you are teaching that person a trade, obviously when that person comes out, that trade will be something that that person can use to benefit himself. If they can gardening and other things, if they can also create other opportunities for them to do work, for instance, gardening. So that when they sell the produce from that gardening, they could keep a part of it, even as monies for those prisoners, so that by the time they left prison, they would have had something to start off with. I would want the government to look into that area. Also to create places of prayer. Because there we used to pray outside in the open. There was no designated place for prayer. Prisoners are human beings, and just as I said earlier on, some people did things which they eventually got to regret. Someone can commit a crime or do something which is very serious. And they would realize, if you should sit them down at a particular place, for instance, 24 hours, they will come to realize that, in fact, what they did was not actually something good to do. So they should have sympathy for these people. They should have mercy for these people. That would please me so much if the government could look into that issue. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Njie. And again, we are most appreciative of your decision to come and testify before the Commission.
Mr. Njie, nyinketantul fanali sewoti puru isonta yena ila kumosata komisono nyati limula.
And thank you also for the good advice that you have just made in your final remarks.
Mbe mumbara la fanang inatani yamari kankendo lumen foten ila kumokum fadulato.
Thank you again for coming to the Commission.
We'll
take a lunch break and come back at 2:30. Council, are we ready with an afternoon witness or what?
I would have to consult with lead counsel on that and come back to you.
Thank you. If we are going to resume at 2:30, and if we're going to have an afternoon session, we will make the announcement later on. But for the moment, thank you so much, Mr. Njie, and the meeting is adjourned until maybe in the afternoon. Thank you.
Mr. Njie.
Bengana kodo mumbe doku boy. Ngaki na